greet visitors in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. We greet the entire church in the name of Jesus.
We thank God, brethren, who has opened an opportunity for us to be in His presence. So we can also see those we haven't seen in such a while.
Amen.
We also see Mrs. Nzolisa. Who is His Pumeza's mother. Amen. We also greet our grandmothers in the name of Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Without wasting of any time, I had a lot of verses. But I think as you will just read them. And please tell the pastor that he didn't finish the message. Hallelujah.
Amen.
We will read a lot of verses, but I will not get into everything. I will just summarize and then see just two things on the theme for the week, and then I will sit down. Amen. 2 Samuel chapter number 4. We will read verse 1 to verse number 5, and then we will read the last verse, verse 12. 2 Samuel 4, verses 1 to verse 5, and then the last one will be verse 12, and then another one is that we found would be 2 Kings chapter number 23. We will read there verse 1 to verse 4, and then we will read verse 20 to 25. These ones, we will just read them. I will talk briefly, and then we will leave them sinjalo. Otherwise, the two things I will speak on today, hallelujah.
Amen.
2 Corinthians chapter number 11, verse 1 to verse 4. Please forgive me when I talk. I like that we go through a number of verses and then I just talk. Amen. So the 2 points I will speak on will be in Matthew 11, verse 12 only. That will talk to the thing. Others will not be, maybe you will connect it in your heart. Amen. Also, you can read 2 Samuel chapter 4.
2 Samuel chapter 4 verses 1 to 5. Verse 1 reads, When Saul's son heard that Abner had died in Hebron, he lost heart, and all Israel was troubled. Now Saul's son had 2 men who were captains of troops. The name of one was Bana, and the name of the other, Rechab. The sons of Rimmon and Beerothite of the children of Benjamin. For Beeroth was also part of Benjamin, because the Beerothites fled to Gitaim and had been sojourners there until this day. Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son who was lame in his feet. He was 5 years old when the news about Saul and Jonathan came to Jezreel, and his nurse took him up and fled. And it happened, as she made haste to flee, that he fell and became lame. His name was Mephibosheth. Then the sons of Rimmon, the Beerothite, Rechab and Bana, set out and came at about the heat of the day to the house of Mephibosheth, who was lying on his bed at noon.
Verse 6 also.
Verse verse 6. Jesus, sorry. And they came there all the way into the house as though to get wheat, and they stabbed him in the stomach.
Okay. Before you go to verse 12, you read it from the New King James. Is there anyone with NLT and read verse 6 for us? Can you repeat verse 6? No, repeat verse 6 on the New King James.
Verse 6. And they came there all the way into the house, as though to get wheat, and they stabbed him in the stomach. Then Rechab and Bana, his brother, escaped.
Yeah.
From the NLT. One day, Rechab and Bana, the sons of Rimmon from Beeroth, went to Ishbosheth's house around noon, as he was taking his midday rest. Oh, that's verse 1. Verse 6. The doorkeeper who had been sifting wheat became drowsy and fell asleep. So Rechab and Bana slipped past him.
Okay. They slipped past him. Completely different. Okay, verse 12.
Verse 12. So David commanded his young men, and they executed them, cut off their hands and feet, and hanged them by the pool in Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the tomb of Abner in Hebron.
And then 2 Kings 23.
2 Kings chapter 23 from verse 1.
To verse 4.
Now the king sent them to gather all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem to him. The king went up to the house of the Lord with all the men of Judah, and with him all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the priests and the prophets, and all the people, both small and great. And he read in their hearing all the words of the book of the covenant which had been found in the house of the Lord. Then the king stood by a pillar and made a covenant before the Lord, to follow the Lord and to keep his commandments and his testimonies and his statutes with all his heart and all his soul, to perform the words of this covenant that were written in this book. And all the people took a stand for the covenant. And the king commanded Hilkiah the high priest, the priests of the second order, and the doorkeepers to bring out of the temple all the articles that were made for Baal, for Asherah, and for all the hosts of heaven. And he burned them outside Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and carried their ashes to Bethel. Verse
20 to 25.
Verse 20, he executed all the priests of the high places who were there, on the altars and burnt men's bones on them, and returned to Jerusalem. Then the king commanded all the people, saying, "Keep the Passover to the Lord your God, as it is written in this book of the covenant." Such a Passover surely had never been since the days of the judges who judged Israel, nor in all the days of the king of Israel and the kings of Judah. Verse 23. But in the 18th year of King Josiah, the Passover was held before the Lord in Jerusalem. Moreover, Josiah put away those who consulted mediums and spiritists, the household gods and idols, and all the abominations that were seen in the land of Judah and in Jerusalem, that he might perform the words of the law which were written in the book that Hilkiah the priest found in the house of the Lord. Verse 25. Now before him there was no king like him, who turned to the Lord with all his heart, with all his soul, with all his might, according to the law of Moses, nor after him did any arise like him.
2 Corinthians 11, maybe let's just do verse 3 and 4.
2 Corinthians 11 verses 3 and 4. Verse 3 reads, "But I fear, lest somehow, as the serpent deceived Eve by his craftiness, so your minds may be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Christ. For if he who comes preaches another Jesus, whom we have not preached, or if you receive a different spirit which you have not received, or a different gospel which you have not accepted, you may well put up with it."
The last one, Matthew 11, verse 12.
And verse 12, "And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force."
Liwulilo okothulayo liyephulimisegari liphutsisisimbabala liyahlabalahlukanise onalo izwi lakho
Siyabonga baba wethu ongcwele. Siyabonga uNkulunkulu wethu namandla. Ekseni Nkosi kunjalo. Lona lifu lakho angengcothwe lutho. Lithi lona Nkosi masihlala kuwe nemavakhe ahlala kithi. Ekseni baba wethu ongcwele nawe umntwanakho siyamazi baba uKimbili. Gibele uNkulunkulu wethu ongcwele khuluma ngaye ekseni egameni lika Jesu Kristu. Let him decrease so that you may increase. Father God, we pray, we bless your word, oh Father. Selifundiwe sesiyohlala phansi manje sidle. Khuluma Nkosi lokufisako. Yenda Nkosi insandvo yakhe emini thine Nkosi silungele. Siyale Nkosi sithethise sikhuphe. Yenda ngale ndlela Nkosi uthanza ngayo konke lokhu kwendele Nkosi kuhle nokuphunyiswa Nkosi nokubathathwa kweligama lakho. In Jesus' mighty name, Lord, we pray.
Siyaphinda ukubulisa abangcwele egameni likaJesu.
We greet the brethren in the name of Jesus again. Amen.
As I have said,
Njengoba nditshilo ke,
for the sake of time,
ngenxa yexesha,
I will just introduce what is in my heart
ndizawukhupha okusentliziyweni
in this season,
ngale season sikuyo.
and then I will finalize by talking to the theme for the week,
Emva koko ndizawuthetha ke ngetimu yeveki lesikuyo,
which is what God sees in giving.
ethi uThixo ubona ntoni kumnikelo.
Maybe I'm not going to talk to it directly,
Mhlawumbi andizuthetha ngayo ngqo,
but I will just talk on giving.
kodwa ndizawuthetha ngokunikela.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
In these 4 passages of scriptures we have just read,
Kwezi zibhalo zine sizifundileyo,
the first one in the second book of Samuel,
eyokuqala esiyifundileyo encwadi yesibini kaSamuel,
we see a restoration in the southern kingdom of Judah
sibona imbuyiselo kwikingdom yakwaJuda
under the leadership of King Josiah.
bekhokhelwa yikumkani uJosiah.
But there is one thing there that I want you to note
Kodwa kukho into enye ndifuna niyiqaphele
in verse number 6.
kwivesi yesithandathu.
If you can read it for us, just verse 6 only. 2 Samuel chapter 4, verse 6 only. Anyone who has it.
Verse 6. And they came there all the way into the house, as though to get wheat. And they stabbed him in the stomach. Then Rechab and Baanah, his brother, escaped.
And the other version,
From the NLT, the doorkeeper who had been sifting wheat became drowsy and fell asleep. So Rechab and Baanah slipped past him.
so the other version has another story.
Enye iversion ithetha olunye udaba.
Other versions say
Ezinye zithi
these 2 guys
aba bantu babini
who came to kill the last or the remaining son of Saul,
abebezobulela unyana oshiyekileyo kaSaul,
they came pretending to be getting wheat.
beza besenza ngathi bazofuna ingqolowa.
In other words, they deceived whoever was at the door.
Ngamanye amazwi baqhatha lowo wayesemnyango.
And the other version says,
Ezinye iversion ke zithi
actually, the one who was at the door
ithi lo yena wayesemnyango
actually fell asleep.
waye walala.
She fell drowsy and then fell asleep.
Ithi wozela walala.
And it says that was the doorkeeper.
Ithi leyo yangumntu owayebambe umnyango.
The doorkeeper or the gatekeeper fell asleep, fell drowsy and fell asleep.
Umgcinisango wozela walala.
And then the 2 guys went past her
Aba babini ke bamdlula,
and they killed the son of Saul.
bambulala unyana kaSaul,
Cut his head off. They beheaded him
bamnqumla intloko,
and they brought the head to David.
basa intloko yakhe kuDavide.
And David was not pleased,
uDavide ke zange ayivuyele.
although they thought they were going to get some reward.
Noko bona babecinga uba bazawufumana inzuzo.
But David was not pleased.
Kodwa uDavide wayezange ayivuyele.
He ordered them to be executed.
Wathi nabo mababulawe.
Now, into yam iti,
Now my story is,
it doesn't matter if the gatekeeper fell asleep
akho ngxaki kumgcinisango walala
or the gatekeeper was deceived.
okanye waqhathwa.
But the fact of the matter is there was casualty.
Kodwa into ekhoyo uba kukho isehlo esehlayo.
Someone died in the house
Umntu ufile endlini
because of what happened at the door.
ngenxa yento eyenzeke esangweni.
Someone died inside
Kukho umntu ofileyo ngaphakathi
because of what happened at the door.
ngenxa yento eyenzeke esangweni.
Whether the doorkeeper fell asleep
Noba ebegcine isango ulewe walala
or the doorkeeper was deceived,
okanye uqhathile,
but someone died.
kodwa kukhona umntu ofileyo.
And that was a concern of David.
Yaba yingxaki leyo
That
kaDavide.
it didn't matter how it came about,
Engenangxaki uba yenzeke
but
njani.
the is happening in the book of Samuel,
Yenzeka le nto encwadini kaSamuel.
where we see a gatekeeper deceived
Xa sibona umgcinisango eqhathwa
or a gatekeeper falling asleep.
okanye umgcinisango elala.
Indaba yami bathandekayo
My story, brethren,
is in what Paul says. Paul has a concern.
uPawulos unento ayimhluphayo.
Paul says, as Eve was deceived,
Uthi njengoba uEva waqhathwayo,
I am worried
ndikhathazekile.
that, Eve was the bride of the first Adam.
uEve wayengumtshakazi wa-Adam wokuqala.
Paul says, I am worried
Uthi uPaul ndikhathazekile
that the bride of the second Adam
uba ngabe umakoti wa-Adam wesibini
might easily fall into what the bride of the first Adam fell into,
angawela kule nto ubride wokuqala watshona kuyo,
which was a deception.
which was ukuthatheka.
The first bride was deceived,
Umakoti wokuqala waqhathwa,
and the whole human race
uluntu ke lonke
fell into sin.